really excited about this next session because when we think about the future in the UK, in India, wherever you look, we have to think about the future of cities. They are the most productive places. They are engines of growth, of inclusion, and that's why so many people move to cities every single day. But they're also, as we know, the dirtiest, the most polluted, the most crowded. So as we design the future of how we want to live in cities, we have to link sustainability to that. And our next guest has built an incredible business over the last 12 years, focused on how we move around cities. So let's look into the future of mobility. Please welcome Bhavish Aggarwal, CEO of OLA Cabs and OLA Electric. How are you today?
Hi, Edie. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm doing great. Apologies, I couldn't make it there in person, but great to be with you and the audience.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in person at some point. We'll work on your audio. It's coming in and out a little bit. But Bhavish, your LinkedIn profile is rather extraordinary. I was stalking you. Studied computer science and engineering at Bombay Tech, then an intern and an assistant researcher at Microsoft Research. Then you founded OLA, originally OLA Cabs. 12 years later, it's valued at over $7 billion, third largest ride-hailing app in the world. So did you think you were going to build a unicorn 12 years ago?
Yeah, thanks, Edie. I started off in 2010, and when I was starting off, I was 24 years old. So when you're that young and you get into business, you don't plan for 20 years or 10 years out. You want to actually just give an avenue to a lot of ideas and creativity. One thing led to the next, and today we are probably India's largest mobility platform and the world's largest. And you mentioned our ride-hailing business. In addition to that, we also operate India's largest electric vehicle company. So that's another big area of business.
So there are two sides you mentioned there, ride-hailing and the electric side. Let's start with the ride-hailing. How is life different for an OLA driver in the UK than it is for one in India?
Well, Edie, there are similarities and there are differences. The beauty of the ride-hailing business is that the consumer need across cities globally is very similar. Earlier the paradigm for moving around cities was either owning a car or going in public transport or costly taxi services everywhere. Now, with the ride-hailing, especially in countries like India, where personal ownership of vehicles as well as public transport is less penetrated, ride-hailing has been a boon in terms of options for the average consumer to move around cities. And even in the West, in cities like London, etc., it's been a similar story. People needed more options, convenient, accessible, and low-cost options to move around cities, and that's what ride-hailing has enabled over the last decade. But the bigger theme here that I would highlight for you and for the viewers is these are actually not two different worlds. Ride-hailing, electric, autonomous. These are not different worlds. In a way, if you look at the biggest challenges for us as a society, as a global society, is climate change, is energy security for countries like India. And mobility is at the heart of this new challenge for society. So I actually believe over the next decade or two, some of the biggest innovations will happen in the field of energy and mobility. Like in many ways, the last couple of decades has been a lot of innovation in digital, in communications. But the next couple of decades, we'll see a lot of innovation, a lot of new businesses, and a lot of new paradigms built in the field of energy and mobility, basically solving our challenges of climate change, of energy security, of access to mobility and transport for everybody across the world. And that's the place where Ola fits in. Ola is actually in many ways making making this whole sustainable energy future truly accessible to humanity. Because if you think of either ride-hailing or electric mobility, it's not just a rich man or rich country's problem. To truly make it scalable, you have to solve it for the mass of humanity, and that's what we are doing in a country like India.
So let's look at the electric ambition that OLA has. Tell us about how much you want to grow this part of your business in the next couple years.
If you look at the journey of electric over the last decade, the public discourse as well as the products built by companies has been dominated by what I would say luxury vehicles. If there are very good iconic companies like Tesla, etc., which have built great products, but it's still products that are very premium or luxury oriented. Markets like India, markets like Southeast Asia, Latin America, etc., need a different paradigm and a different set of products. So that's what we are building. We are building, what I would like to say, Tesla for the West and Ola for the rest. So in that sense, the kind of products that we are building are focused on markets like India, consumers like here, where you need much more urban mobility centric solutions. So our first product was an electric two-wheeler, and that has done really well in the India market. We are also now building electric cars for the $10,000 to $40,000 price point. Again, in a way, India is a great microcosm of this whole paradigm, this whole segment of mobility, which doesn't get covered by what an American company might be building. Right. So that's what our focus is. In addition to these products, we're also doing a lot of core technology around the energy, be it building the cell technologies, be it building the manufacturing for the future energy technologies here in India.
So
Right.
that's
So
the
our
battery,
focus
is
is to
that
build
right?
in
Is
India.
that when you say the
Yeah,
cell, is that you mean the battery?
absolutely. The battery cell. Yeah.
And so you're focused on building that as well. I know that you've got 50,000 two-wheelers on the road. A week ago, I think you had about 5,000 customers, early adopters at your factory. Tell me what's been the reaction of these early adopters to the two-wheelers, to the mopeds?
The Indian consumer is actually one of the most intelligent consumers, maybe across the world. Very value conscious, very globally aware, has access to all the information. So the Indian consumer expects the best products in the world at a fairly value conscious price. So we've been building for this audience, and the Indian consumer is absolutely ready for this electric revolution. And with companies like us increasingly building better products and offering them to the Indian consumer, this Indian consumer will actually be able to buy the best in the world and actually make India one of the world's leading markets for electrification. Now, what you mentioned, Edie, about having our customers in our factories, that's in a way how we build our engagement with the customers and our brand, having a lot more closer association with consumers, direct to consumer approach. And we recently opened our factory to all consumers. We invited all of them, and about 5,000 of them showed up. It shows the passion, the excitement consumers have towards electrification. So the journey of electrification in India has started over the last year or two, and it's going to be a much more accelerated journey compared to the West and compared to the other countries where it's been more gradual and organic. And in the next few years, my prediction is that in the next 3-4 years, India can be one of the world's leading countries in electrification, in adoption of electric, as well as just the scale of electric vehicles and new energy technologies.
Not everything is smooth sailing in any business, and with EVs, there have been a few bumps in the road. Concerns around battery life, not just with your vehicles, but with many electric vehicles. And I know that consumers, worry about that. Where can they charge again? We know that a few mopeds caught fire. There was some concern around that. We saw your recall. Tell me how you've dealt with that and how it's impacted trust in OLA and what you've done as a result.
See, any new technology will have its own adoption curve and its own maturity, and also just all the stakeholders in society getting used to a new behavioral pattern and a new paradigm, essentially, right? Same is the case with EVs. Over the last 6-8 months, as we have launched in the market, EVs have hit scale in India. And as a result, there have been the odd challenge, and it's led to a much more stronger discourse in the public about how do you set the right regulatory framework for safety. And safety obviously is topmost priority for any technology, new technology paradigm to come into the market. And we actually have engaged with the governments. We've actually done a lot of educational efforts for all stakeholders across the ecosystem, consumers, regulatory bodies, etc., to help understand this new paradigm of electric mobility. Right. In many ways, actually, electric vehicles are much safer than gasoline vehicles. if you look at any scientific research, you will see electric vehicles have maybe 1/10 the risk of gasoline vehicles on any kind of fire hazard, etc. But it needs a lot more public discourse. It needs a new regulatory and policy framework, and we actually work with the government to establish that, to help establish that, and share our knowledge in that.
Petrol prices are high now, to put it very lightly, and that is helping demand for electric vehicles, not just in India, but around the world. They won't always be this high. So what do you need from government now in order to increase take-up, sustain interest?
The Indian government is actually, I would say, one of the most progressive governments in the world in terms of putting a policy framework as well as a like an incentive structure, one of the leading incentive and policy frameworks in the world for electrification. At a state level, at a central level, at a manufacturer or a consumer level, it's one of the most sophisticated, forward-looking frameworks I have seen anywhere in the world. Now, the adoption of electric will not depend on gasoline prices. It'll have its momentary impacts up and down as gas prices move up and down. But in general, in the longer arc of time, I don't believe petrol prices make a big impact up or down for electric adoption. The fact of the matter is that, like I said, climate change is a societal imperative challenge for us to address. And electric vehicles are the best bet to address that. Electric, cell technology is the best bet to address that. As more and more R&D is happening across the value chain for electric, be it in lithium mining, be it in scaling up cell production, or making all of the supply chains more effective and capital efficient, the transformation to electric will only get more easier. And I see that across the board. So in that sense, petrol prices do help in the short term, but it's not a requirement for long-term adoption of electric.
We're examining how we could reimagine the UK-India relationship all across the next 2 days. I know that you do research and development in Coventry. What would you like to see even more of as a result of a free trade agreement between the UK and India?
The beauty of the India and UK partnership is that it's based on a shared value system, a shared cultural background and history, and also to a large extent shared aspirations for the future. Right? I think the UK has big aspirations for the future in terms of technology. In terms of creating UK as a hotbed of technology innovation, especially given its strong startup ecosystem and the academia ecosystem that exists in the UK. And India is a very aspirational country. The youth is very aspirational. The startup ecosystem is probably one of the most vibrant in the world. So in that sense, there's a lot of synergy and a lot of shared interests and history going into this partnership. I would say, if you look at entrepreneurs in India, many of them are looking at UK as a talent center, as a market, and vice versa. I know a lot of my friends in the UK who are looking at India as a talent center and as a market. So this kind of a bridge that High Commissioner referred to is going to be very critical to the shared future of UK-India partnership. And also, the opportunity that this partnership offers is to truly define the paradigm of future technologies, because between India and the UK, you kind of got the whole world covered in terms of a developing economy, as well as India is in many ways a nice microcosm of the developing world across many geographies, and UK is a great example of what a developed world looks like. So the UK-India partnership can actually define the new paradigms when it comes to technologies like crypto, like autonomous vehicles, like 5G or beyond, or new energy technologies, flying cars, etc. There's so much new technology paradigms that have to be built, and this partnership can help define it for the rest of the world.
Perfect. Bhavish Aggarwal. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for joining us. To those of you watching us, we'll be right back very shortly with our Reimagine debate. What is the idea of Great Britain? Bhavish, thank you very much. We hope to see you in person sometime soon.